All right, we are back, Group B. We've got the same group as before. We have a new DCSC lead. Elisa, welcome to Group B.
Thank you, Joe.
All right, so we are going to jump into some more discussions here. This is the communication breakout. You know, your role as a delegate is an important one that will require effective receipt and dissemination of information to your organization, and one that will allow you to proactively access and communicate with the entire delegate network through the use of online communities. We're going to go through a couple of activities here throughout the breakout to help explain your role and provide some opportunities for Q&A as well. So as is the first session, if you have questions, please do feel free to submit those into the chat box. Raise your hand with the reactions tool or just physically raise your hand and we'll see those. Let's go ahead and put up the first communication question. We're going to go back into Slido. If you remember that tool, go ahead and open that up and you will see our first question. Make sure that you are on Group B when you're in there. And the question is, what are the pathways to share events, issues, and successes with the NGS community? A, genealogy events calendar. There, I got it. NGS Society and Organization Leaders Forum, the upcoming Higher Logic community. So everyone go ahead and submit your responses there. Now we heard a little bit about these in the video from Sam. We've got about 5 submissions so far. All right, still only 5 submissions. Let's go ahead and look at the correct answer for this one. Right, can we show the correct answer?
Well, I think they all elected the correct answer. They were listening well to the video that
right.
Sam did. So, yeah.
Correct answer D, all of the above. So that is correct. So the events calendar, the Society and Organization Leaders Forum, and the upcoming Higher Logic membership community all are great places to share events, issues, and successes with the wider community. Each will have its own functionality, but all will reach a larger audience and give you an opportunity to share with the wider community. All right, question number 2. This is going to be, what can delegates expect from NGS in terms of communication, transparency, responses in a timely manner to broadcast information, the 1890 U.S. Census population schedule? I don't know about that one. Well, let's see what everybody says.
Oh, why can't we expect NGS to magically produce something that doesn't exist?
Well, you can expect it. I don't know that you'll get it, but
we'll put you on that one.
They can't raise that from the ashes.
If we only could, we would.
I guess that should be, what can delegates reasonably expect? Is the question. All right, 25 responses. 92% of you said A through C. Let's see what the correct answer is. I have a feeling that, there we go. Well, a lot of us got that one correct. So A through C, transparency, responses in a timely manner, and to broadcast information regularly. All things that you can expect from NGS in terms of communication. Well done. Okay, let's move on to question number 3. Who are the main resources for facilitating communication with NGS? A, the Ministry of Magic. B, the Delegate Council Chair and Vice Chair who lead our group. C, NGS VP of Society and Organization Management to bring Delegate Council concerns to the NGS board. D, B, and C.
I'm glad you all love the Ministry of Magic.
9% still think it's the Ministry of Magic. I don't know about that one.
Those are my people.
Some changing of minds here. The Ministry of Magic would be fun. But I don't know that it's realistic. Okay, 23 responses. Let's see the correct answer. Look at that, B and C. We have a smart group here. So the delegate council chair and vice chair who lead the group, and the VP of Society and Organization Management to bring delegate council concerns to the NGS board. Both are your main resources for facilitating communication within NGS. Okay, so that was a good warm up here. We're going to jump into the next section of this breakout, which is an activity. And we've got a couple more Slido polls that we're going to pull up. So let's go ahead and pull up the first one. Okay, if you were to develop a plan to communicate what you learned during the workshop, what would you include in that plan? Okay, so this is going to build a word cloud, just very similar to our first breakout. So go ahead and make your submissions in Slido. You should be in group B. If you're not there, then you're going to be submitting those to another group.
Yeah, think about your board. Think about your members. How are you going to tell them about your role with NGS, what NGS is going to do for your society or can do, what expectations you have? How are you going to deliver this information to your organization? So that's what we're looking for here.
The question hasn't come up on my Slido thing.
And you might want to hit refresh just to make sure.
I'm seeing a lot of, I'm glad that you're going to write for your newsletter and let your membership know.
Okay. there we
Blog
go.
article, that's good. A direct report to the board. That's good.
So could somebody give me an example of what would be in that newsletter article? What are the common things that you put in there to communicate? Or what would be your biggest takeaway?
I'm giving a report to my board tomorrow night. I'm not on the board, but I wrote down that the new NGS, we need to rethink what we know in the past about it.
Good, John. I like that. Yeah, the new NGS, it's going to be this interaction with the delegate council is going to be of our own creation, those of us who are here. So that's good news. And to rethink about past impressions of what NGS used to be versus what we can create here.
I love the one that says we are not alone. I like that. That's what we want y'all to know. You're not alone in this.
Suzanne, you have your hand raised. Go ahead, unmute. Suzanne, you're muted. There you go.
I was, you're right. I was just getting ready to say something that Sherry said. I think a lot of our members really don't even know what NGS is about in terms of helping our members grow and helping our society grow. So I think the first thing in my written report in the newsletter would be to just explain NGS and how it now is going to be so much more helpful to our members. So this has been just a great opportunity today, folks. I need to share that with you. This is good. Thanks.
Thank you, Suzanne. And that's, as indicated, it's been a few months in the making and we're here for you. We want you all to get to know each other, to communicate with each other and also take back to you, communicate with your organization.
Well, and I think one of the things that, because I've been involved in genealogy for many, many, many years, and I know people's names and I know organizations, and I just have a working knowledge of it. And I tend to forget that others do not know as much as I do. And when I'm teaching my classes, where I'm giving my lectures, I also realize, somebody will say, well, what is a census? And I'll go, oh, okay, I got to back up and, start from the beginning. And I think it's going to be the same logic on my part with explaining NGS, the delegate, and what we can actually do.
Good point.
Thank you. Okay, so detailed board report or just a board report. Anyone willing to share some more takeaways on what you would be reporting back to your board?
Hi, this is Margaret.
Margaret?
One of the things that I want to share with my board are some of the ideas that I'm gaining from the conversations.
Great. Katie, you had your hand up, I believe.
Just to help with some technology answers and also more the event calendar to highlight the educational programs we have available at the library. So that's always a difficult area. Is that also going to be allowed on Facebook, or is it strictly to the calendar available on NGS?
What, advertising your events? You can
Yes.
certainly on the Facebook group for this section, you can certainly share that information about what is
Okay.
available through your society or organization. And I think a lot of people who are newsletter editors, or that's the other thing I would think of, is that you want to pass information on to your newsletter editor to, if they have if they publish a calendar of events from other places. So yeah, no, with sharing, collaborating. We'll get into the other two C's later. But yeah, sure.
Yeah, don't forget your committee chairs when you're telling them about the resources that NGS has on the website for organizations. It's not just the board that needs those, it's the committees as well. So I think that would be a good thing to pass on.
Christina, you have
Yes.
your...
Yeah, something someone said, it made me think about it. We have a Facebook. We just shifted from a page to a group, or a group to a page, because I'm, whatever. We have that. We have a very beautiful, active newsletter that's multi-page that sends out to all of our members and all of the local societies in Southern California. Plus, we have a really beautiful website, and we try to publish everything we can find, upcoming webinars that other people are offering. But our biggest problem is local advertising. We do not have a local newspaper really anymore that does anything. The Los Angeles Times won't take small things like small groups. So it sort of falls to us to do all of our own advertising, and it's quite difficult. Does anyone have some suggestions?
Okay, great. Well, let's table that question as we consider these, but we'll make sure we record that and something to circle back on in our discussion.
Oh, and I would like to. I do have some comments that I can contribute to that have worked well for us.
Great.
You will have breakouts later for different topics such as that. So
Okay.
Great.
Stay with us the whole day.
Margaret, I see your hand up.
Yes, one of the things that I was thinking about as we're talking about communication is there's an account administrator for my society. I don't know who that is for one thing, but I'll find out. But I guess part of my thought is, how do I communicate with that person? What role does he or she have versus what I have, and how can we work together within our society to get the most bang for the buck, if you will, from NGS? And so it's not specifically the society with NGS, but it's within our society. How do we, the two of us, work together to collaborate.
Sure.
Margaret, there is a webpage on the NGS website, and maybe Lois, our chat monitor, can put that into the chat as to delineates the job description, if you will, for the administrator versus the delegate. So that information is on the website and available. And there's much more information to come as far as today goes and after today for your benefit.
Right.
So
Thank-
yeah, but first step is finding out who in your organization might be signed up as administrator, if anyone. Not all organizations, as I understand it, have taken that on.
Oh, I think I know who it might be, so I'm gonna send her an email.
Right, great. So looking back at our list on the screen here, is there anything that might be missing that might be important to report back to your board?
See, Michael also had his hand up.
Yeah,
Go
there we
ahead.
go, Michael.
Yeah, I had, it's kind of a repeat of some of the things, but awareness of the benefits. I think that it's kind of an opportune time to kind of like reestablish how we can leverage NGS so that it kind of links to the statement, we are not alone. If we're looking for resources, ideas, brainstorming, best practices, whatever it is, it sounds like you have a mechanism now to accomplish some of that.
Great points. Great points. Yeah, there's a lot of, as the organization's merging, there's a lot of benefits that were existing and then a lot of new things coming online, like the Higher Logic community that will be launched soon. So there's going to be a lot of benefits and new programs to be cognizant of. All right, anything else missing? Okay. Any other comments in general on this? Anything that anyone would like to share based on their responses so far?
I really liked the pamphlet that Matt produced, but I had difficulty converting it to PDF so I could share it with the board. So a PDF version of that would be nice.
I agree.
Okay, great. We'll make a note of that. Okay, great. If nothing else on this topic, we are going to launch the second activity, which is going to be another text input here, which is, what is the value you believe your organization will receive from you serving as the delegate? So what value is the organization going to receive from you serving as the delegate? Okay, there we go. Getting some submissions here. Communication's a big one. Collaboration, knowledge. Share problems and solutions. Okay, collaboration, communication, our top tier, new ideas. A couple of submissions there, best practices.
Yeah, you're certainly going to get new ideas by communicating with each other here and in the future.
Okay, communication is the top one here. Several sub items here under communication as well. So what is that value? You serving as the delegate, you're bringing good communication between you and the organization, between NGS and your organization. You're providing good communication between your peers here within the delegate council to bring those best practices and new ideas forward. Any other ways that is going to be of value to your societies, to your organizations.
I think it will help to encourage our board to really think about what are the problems that they're facing that they need help with, and to articulate them more clearly so that we can bring them, to other organizations here.
Yeah, be that link. All right, who else? Kate, I saw you come off mute earlier.
Yeah, I did. I think the collaboration will be really helpful to our organization to find out what problems other organizations might be having and find out solutions to those problems. When we were just talking in the workshop earlier about switching to the hybrid model after the pandemic, that's something that our organization has talked about a lot, and finding out that other organizations are thinking about those same ideas. And hopefully, as a collective, we can come up with strategies together and then disseminate that information down within our board and with the organization as a whole, I think will be tremendously helpful. So that's just one example, but I'm hoping that we're able to work together on a whole host of examples as well.
That's a good point, Kate. It's not every organization has to reinvent the wheel. So if one person comes up with a strategy, they try it out, they can disseminate that. This is our experience. And then others can decide whether they want to adopt that experience or adapt it to their own needs. But you don't have to start from ground zero, which is so important.
Exactly.
And I think that goes back to what that person said earlier, you are not alone.
And when that person said that, that's what I was thinking, because, we were just talking about some of these issues, and to know that we're not alone and thinking them, that there's a wider genealogical community that we can talk about these issues with, I think is really helpful and reassuring in a way.
Well, we hope so. We hope it's reassuring that.
And I'd like to make a comment on that. I think very often, at least in my group, we've tended to get into a rut of complaining. This isn't working and that's not working. And, there's that negativity that, can quickly spread. And I think the fact that I am now engaged with this delegate council, and I am hearing outside of my circle ideas and community. Yes, we have some complaints, of course, but our goal is to find solutions for those complaints. And I think that's just going to help me to say, okay, to my group, yes, we've talked enough negative. Now let's go into the positive. And this is what I've heard from Pennsylvania, and this is what I heard from California. And these, I think, are ideas that we need to think about. So communication, yes, but new ideas is just going to be so helpful for me to just say, okay, time out, let's move ahead and come up with some solutions. And just talking to you all today has given me a number of ideas that I can take back to my group. And I'm just real pleased about that. And I think we'll get out of our rut, as somebody had said.
And this is only the first of the 3 C's. So
we got a lot to go.
I would challenge you to replace that word complaint with the other C, challenge.
Yes,
You're facing
there
challenges.
You go.
And that's
good point. Good point.
The
Alyssa.
language we use with our boards and our members
Yes.
has meaning. Has meaning.
Right.
Great point.
Margaret, do you have your hand up? See, once you put your hands up, you can only you can take them down. So
It's an old hand. Okay.
You just hit it again. You hit it again and it'll go down.
Yep. So great points around, best practices and sharing, that's all part of the communication and your essential link between the organizations, and, the ability to share those in real time and an online setting to be able to find the answers to your questions through the various support pieces that NGS has. Let's see, what else do we have on there? Anything missing from here? We've got 24 submissions, collaboration, communication, new ideas, best practices have risen to the top. Any other ideas?
I'd like to comment
Yep, Richard.
That this kind of back and forth between delegates is the kind of thing I was hoping to experience at the in-person conferences and really didn't find a way to do.
Good comment. Good comment. So finding, obviously, you know, the ways to collaborate online, but how do we facilitate that in person when we're back to in-person events? What's an effective way for us to communicate and collaborate together? Okay.
Richard, when I was a delegate and attended those in-person FGS things, they had a cocktail hour or some kind of social thing. And I remember my board sending me with questions to go get answers. And so I walked around with my, you know, plate of hors d'oeuvres and drink and asked people the question that I forget what it was, but that my board wanted to know the answer. So yeah, it works much more efficiently here with, you know, the 30 of us here sitting in our own homes.
And 4 times a year will be 4 times more often that questions can be exchanged.
Yes, and even if you cannot make one or something, then, you know, it's still more frequent than once a year.
Okay. All right. Anything else missing on this list in terms of what the value will be to your organization from you in particular serving as the delegate? All right. Sandra.
I think one of the biggest advantages is that they're going to have an awareness that what NGS is doing. This is a change for NGS. It's something that our societies need to be aware that NGS is picking up from the FGS role. But I think there's a rededicated commitment, if you will, to a focus on and working with societies. And I think that's something that a lot of the societies need to hear and will appreciate hearing, especially right now.
Yep. Great point.
And I think one of the things that's important is that it's our organizational members within MGS do not only include societies, they also include museums, libraries, archives. And so I think that that will really make our interactions richer and maybe introduce some of us to new partners that we can work with.
And making new connections.
Sorry, I was going to say, I also think it's important to recognize that collectively you have a voice on the board by pushing things up the channels, the correct things up to where they can be talked about and brought to the board. And so I don't think that that's ever happened before. So you've got that channel for for certain things to be discussed by the board, not small little items, but things that the delegate council itself, as you meet, decide this needs to go to the board. And so then that's given to the board to discuss and look at. So that's a wonderful thing for you as a delegate to know as well, is that you do have a voice on the board.
Good point.
I'm curious if what would you communicate with a board? You as a delegate, what can you think of a larger issue perhaps that you might want to raise with the National Genealogy Society? Is there any burning questions within your society that you think a larger scope? And I don't want to call it an umbrella organization because that's not what NGS is. NGS is just using their tools to help the delegate council. As we already said, it's an independent body to get together. So they're facilitating this day, and then, but they're also willing to stay in the game and be a partner to the delegate council. So is there anything that you would ask of NGS that you can think of at this point?
Christina?
Well, I was going to say the main thing I can think of for telling my board and our membership the reason that we want to stay affiliated with NGS would be because of the availability of support, suggestions, ways to make our society better for them. And I mean, that's the key. You know, why are we even here if we're not to involve people, help them with the problems they have, and then we in turn to our big brother, big sister, whatever, and say, okay, here's the situation. What do you suggest for us to do to help our membership? So that's why I feel you fill in that gap.
Mhm.
Is that,
Right. And remember, this whole workshop came out of the board seeing the need to do something for the delegates. And so this is one example of seeing a need and just stepping in to say, okay, there's a need. What do we do? Delegate workshop.
Has anything else come to mind? You know, there's a great point about this being something brought to the board and it coming to fruition here because of an issue or an opportunity, I should say, to engage. Has anything come to mind after hearing the information so far that you think you may want to bring back to your board or bring forward to NGS for added support or a new program, a new way to be supported?
If I can comment, almost all of our discussion has been about organizational matters, but of course we all got into this business to do genealogy. And one of the strong points of FGS, as I understand it, with not a great long history with it, is the programs like Preserve the Pensions, Soldiers and Sailors System, and so on, which have direct benefit to our members in their own. And so I think a clear way forward for NGS is to find out what's the next big project that it can get behind.
Well, that also could be a suggestion from the delegate council. As part of the steering committee, we discussed early on putting awards and honors under the delegate council umbrella. And we decided that wasn't, didn't want to do that right at the very beginning, but that's certainly something that can be developed. And anything else, I mean, if there's, you know, a project that you think is of national attention, then that could be brought to the delegate council. It could be brought up to the NGS board for, you know, input, financial support, implementation, you know, whatever, all those things. But ideas, the point here in our communication subgroup right now is that communication flows both ways. You know, I'm delighted that you're all going to take back to your societies information that you're you know, that NGS is there to help, but also NGS would like to hear from the delegate council as to directions.
Right.
What
That's
I
a
usually
perfect
tell my
example. That's any kind of fundraising projects. That's a perfect example of what the delegate council could take up the chain to the board. So that's a perfect example.
Harry, you have your hand up.
Yes, I'm thinking of the 1950 census index, like what we did for 1940. I think that would be a really good first project.
Well, as I understand it, the big boys will have their ways of doing that indexing, and I'm sure they'll, for those who take on volunteers, that will be well advertised. So I know many of us
Sounds
will
good.
want to jump in, as we did for the 1940 one. NGS doesn't have that as a database or anything, so we'll have to look for the you know, database providers to lead that role. But we can certainly discuss that in delegate council, how to maybe have a competition among the societies. Or I remember back in when we were doing the 1940, my society won a printer, which, believe it or not, we still use 10 years later, because we had so many volunteer hours for indexing. So there's things that can be done. A good point though, Harry, good point.
Yeah, we had a competition within the state of Colorado on that, and that was kind of fun. So different states could do the same kind of thing as what we did. But yeah, a competition would be a lot of fun. and make everybody feel more connected too.
Yeah, a friendly competition, of course.
Of course.
I have a quick question. Could the delegate council also become a resource itself for recommendations for guest speakers or projects that individual societies could take on within their vicinity, you might say, so that it really involves the locals? Is that something delegate council could address?
Delegate council will be whatever you want it to be.
Absolutely. It'll be your council.
So yes, I see that kind of sharing and collaboration, which is one of the C's that we'll be talking about here later today, is collaboration and counsel. How do you help each other through challenges? So yeah, all of that. My local society was involved, or is involved in, I call it a mini FGS, which was, there was about 15 societies physically around us. We used to meet in person, you know, the old story here. But always at our meetings, we would go around, and the number one question was, okay, who are you having this week or this month, and can we steal them? Yeah, for a speaker. The next one was volunteers. How do you maintain and keep volunteer relationships? You know, somebody's overbearing on a certain committee or not. How do you handle that? So we discussed those kinds of things. And I see delegate council here doing that kind of work on a national level with a lot more input, a lot more success stories, a lot more ideas to help you in your very own society.
Yeah, I think one of the resources on the NGS website that can help with that in the societies and organizations tab there is the directory. Find a society, library, museum, archive, or college program. And, you know, like just go in there and search by area and see who's in your area, or see who's the same type of organization, or however you want to slice and dice the people that you want to meet. And this could be a good resource for you.
Great. Katie.
Hi, I was wondering, because I'm new to NGS FGS, are you going to be assisting with helping share the national news? Like here in the Northwest, previous administrations have wanted to close the National Archives, and we did do a petition to help stop that, and it's sort of on hold at this point. But the items in that in NARA are not digitized, and I think they said something about if they did 24/7, it'd take 12 or 20 some years to get everything done. Is there some way to let us know the national status of some of these projects?
I'm sure on the delegate council, Katie, that there will be people who are intimately involved in many of these projects. Reclaim the Records is one thing that comes to mind. That was just a grassroots individual thing that arose.
Right.
There's one now that I know someone else who is trying to get the comment period on something is due tomorrow.
The USCIS.
Yes.
Regulations, yes.
Yes. So, you know, that hopefully through the council and the communication that we will have, especially on the forums, that right now it's Facebook, but then it's going to move to this more sophisticated group forum, that these things will come out, and then you can choose to do whatever you need to do. and bring that information back to your society.
Yeah, I think there will be coverage in the NGS magazine as well.
Great, thank you.
We have 73 seconds left. Any last comments before we are all pulled back to the main room? Well, I've enjoyed being your steering committee monitor here for your group, and rest of the day I'll be over in Group A, but you're in good hands with the rest of the steering committee. I think there's about a dozen of us or more on that steering committee, and you'll be seeing our faces.
Thank you so much for your comments.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Really appreciate the engagement and everyone jumping in. Any final questions, comments before we time travel back into the main group?
Well, thank you for a lot of good ideas. I'm getting more and more excited as the day goes by. Thanks.
Great. Okay. Well, thank you again. I see we've got about 10 seconds, so we will see you back in the main session before we're back together again for the next breakout after that.